Could Huzur tell us the story of any one person, a well-known person or important person of his time, who would have accepted the promised Messiah following the eclipses of the sun and the moon in 1894?
There's so many, I can't remember the names of all those, but it is quite true that at the time of the eclipse, when it was predicted by Hazrat Muslim that the eclipse would take place, many people are known to have traveled from far distances to reach Qadian and to see if from the Qadian horizon that eclipse can be witnessed. And they accepted Ahmediyya just because of that. When it happened, they accepted Ahmediyya. And this was again the source of people believing from then onwards, until the mullahs cried themselves hoarse and diverted the attention of the people from this sign. Previously they used to cry themselves hoarse by telling the people that a great sign for the coming of Imam Mahdi would be shown in the heavens, and that would be the most dependable sign. So they used to even predict the dates when moon will get eclipsed and the sun would get eclipsed. And whenever they spoke of the moon getting eclipsed in Ramadan, they never said on the first night of the month. They always said on the 13th of the month. This is the first night of the moon eclipses. So that is exactly the situation as it prevailed before the event of these signs appearing in the heaven. They were telling everybody, every place in India was in every place in India, wherever the mullahs belonged, they always spoke this in their mosques. And amazingly, as the time grew nearer, the voices became louder and louder. So in one case, I remember, in Kamalpur, one person was a young student. He heard this from the mullahs that these signs will appear when the Imam Mahdi comes. Now, it impressed him so much that he was waiting. He inquired when would it happen. He said, according to his calculation, it should not be far. Now, when he heard from somebody else in another mosque, people were abusing Hazrat Muslim and indulging in all sort of violent, gali galoch we call it, invectives in English. He said, what's happening? Why are you so much against somebody? He said, don't you know there is a person in Qadian who claimed to be the Imam Mahdi? So he's a liar, and we are calling him bad names because of this. So that, connected with this talk of signs, made him decide to inquire from the people whether these signs had appeared or not. So quietly the mullahs agreed that these signs had appeared, but not in the way they should have appeared. The eclipse did not take place on the first night of Ramadan. So that way they started drawing people's attention away from this. But it was a fact of life which was published in the newspapers all over the world. They could not altogether hide it, but this was the excuse they discovered. Now this person who is writing this, I have read this register of reports by Sahaba, how they became Ahmadi, and I am now telling you the story of a person who writes or dictates this story himself to some scribe. So he said, then I decided that I must go to Qadiani and see for myself. Because if that person is truly Mahdi, then he would also have some signs on his personality, on his face, on his features, on the way he talks, etc. So he decided to go to Qadian. Until then he had not accepted Ahmadiyyat. When he reached there and saw Masih Maud, it completely transformed him from a non-believer to a believer who did not require any other sign but the sign of the very personality of Masih Maud. So this is one example, but one of thousands of other examples. This sign in the heaven did produce a chain reaction among the righteous believers who began to become Ahmadis because of this. So this prophecy was not in vain. If it had to be rejected altogether, then where was the use for this prophecy? Please.